Welcome to the Real P&L Trading Show, where every week I show you my real accounts, each one tied to a specific trading system, so you can see exactly how every strategy performs in real time. I answer all your questions live, and I trade my safe wheel system right here on the stream, so you can actually learn it by watching me trade it. Now, real quick, let me clarify something, because I know we have some new people joining every week. So when you hear me talk about the safe wheel, AMP122, the PL5, or the earnings edge, here's exactly how they all fit together. And just so you know, AMP stands for all market profits, which is the foundation of everything that I teach and is in my book here. Now, the safe wheel, this is for anyone who wants to understand what the AMP style strategy is in the simplest possible form. It shows you the core principles: be systematic, be hedged, and protect your capital. The AMP 122 book, this teaches the actual framework behind all the systems. Always be hedged, always non-directional, always rules-based. And this is the blueprint that everything is built on, the all market profits framework, the book here. The PL5, this is the professional, fully developed version of that framework. It's the advanced rules-based system for traders with meaningful capital who want consistent risk-adjusted returns with lower drawdowns. And the earnings edge, I also trade the earnings edge strategy. It still follows the AMP framework, just applied in a faster, earnings-focused way that uses discounted options for controlled leverage. Okay, so let's get into what's going on, or what happened last week. Basically, here you can see my account. This is my earnings edge account and all of the trades that I've made this year. So we're coming up towards the end of the year. So this is pretty much almost a full year's worth of trades. And what is my net lick? 25,713. I'm going to put that in this spreadsheet, make sure it's in the spreadsheet. Notice that did not change from last week, so it should be the same. Yeah, 25,713. So MU is the last trade that I made with the earnings edge. Did not see anything that fit through all the filters last week. It looks pretty good this week, though. There should be a lot to choose from this week. But so far, with the earnings edge, a 3.0 update, which I started in 2025, it's the only thing that I traded in this account, and it's the only system that I use, the 3.0. I went 22 wins, 3 losses, 1 break even, 84% win rate. And you can see for the year, up 324%. Started with $6,053, and now it's at $25,713. I never traded anything else in that account, never added money to the account or anything. You can see how it did in 2022. It was up 63%. The market was down around 19.5. In 2023, it did 17%. The market was up 24. And then 2024 was down 36%. The market was up 23. So it underperformed there. That's when I tweaked the system to the 3.0 strategy, which is working really well. And you can see since 2022 is up 414%. The market's up. Well, let's see what the SPY is trading. SPY is trading at 683.34. Let me put that in there. 683.34. And the market's up 16.7% based on SPY this year. So the market's had a really good year. And you can see here that the earnings edge is obviously vastly outperforming. Okay, but that's it for the earnings edge. It didn't make a trade. Let me check my comments, make sure my audio is working. Is everything working okay? You guys let me know. Also, be sure to post any questions you might have, because sometimes I'll end the broadcast before the questions get answered. And the reason for that is we're on a slight delay. Let's see, can you guys hear me okay? Audio is great. Thank you, Will. Okay. Let's get into what's next. We just talked about the earnings edge. Let's talk about the PL5 Pro. This is where I have a majority of my net lick that is liquid in this particular system. And it is this account here, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, 469,118. 469,118. 469,118. Let me put that in the spreadsheet. 469,118. Okay, so up pretty good from last week. 469,118. You can see started trading the 3.0 on June 1st, 2025. Started with 405, 405,000. Now I'm at 469. So up 63,000, up 15.64%. The market in that same time frame is up 16.26. The thing is, the 3.0 is going to draw down less, probably approximately about half what the market would draw down. And so on a risk adjusted basis, outperforming on a nominal basis, it's pretty even. Okay, so that is the PL5 Pro. Let's talk about the PL5. This right here is the uh, kind of a variant of the PL5. Been trading this since July 16th, 2024. Started with $30,000. You can see, well, let's see where I'm at. I'm using interactive brokers on this account. I can't show the whole screen or else it'll show my account number. So I have $37,018 in that account. That's pretty good. 37018. So you can see in the last half of 2024, this system, which is a variant, the S&P variant, is up 10.2. The market was 3.94, so outperformed there. And now you can see in 2025, it's up about 12%. The market's up around 17. So underperforming a little bit this year. And on a risk adjusted basis, it's pretty even. There's no, it doesn't have lower drawdowns than the market. So overall, the PL5 is actually up more than the S&P 500 starting from July 16th, 2024. I'm up 23.39 versus the S&P at 21.31. So outperforming just a little bit with the PL5. You do get the same drawdowns, so it's pretty even. But I think what's going to happen is the PL5 variant here is going to outperform the market over time. It's designed to do that, and I'd be surprised if it didn't. Okay, next we have the safe wheel. What's going on with the safe wheel count? Let's go into the safe wheel account, and let's see if I'm the right account here. This one here. Yeah. Okay. So 5761. Let's put that in there. 5761. So down just a little bit from last week. You can see how it's performing in 2022. Did 21%. Market was down around 19 and a half. 2023, the safe wheel did 5.39. The market was up 24. 2024, the safe wheel was actually down 14%. The market was up 23. And you can see this year, the safe wheel's up 5.3 and the market's up 16.7. So you can see nominally 15.2%, the safe wheel since 2022. The market's up 43. Hold on a second. That's not right. The market is, yeah, that's up 43 since then. And then on a risk adjusted basis, you can see still underperforming a little bit, but you are hedged here. Your drawdowns are about half that of the S&P 500. So if you like to be more conservative and trade options and learn a good system, the safe wheel, that's for you. So let's talk about what, and I've made pretty much every trade in this safe wheel in this account live. So let's see what's going on here. I notice I come in here and I'm long 200 shares. I sold a put at the $37 strike. And it's just kind of interesting how, I got assigned on Friday. And I guess because when I looked at it on Friday, it was about a half an hour before the market closed. I think I think the stock was around 37.5. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to get assigned. But then I did end up getting assigned, which is fine. It's just part of the system. So I'm long 200 shares. I'm long 100 shares at the $39.50 level. And I'm long 100 shares at the $37 level. So let's talk about the hedges now. What am I going to do? I want to see if I need to do anything with these hedges. So first question is, am I long 200 shares? The answer is yes. So if I'm long 200 shares and my hedge is going to pay off, then I will sell it. But my hedge is not going to pay off because I'm down on it and it needs to be up more than $264, but it's not up more than $265. So I am not going to use it or deploy it or sell it. So that's a no. The other question is it under 100 days? No. And then the other question, is it the 29 strike close enough within 70% of this 36.91. And I'm pretty sure that it is. Let's see. Is the 29 within 70% of 3688 0.88? So in 78%, so no problem there. Okay, so the hedge is fine. It's in place. It's doing what it's supposed to do. There's nothing to do to it. And then I have my 43.50, the long call that I purchased for $5. Now, this long call that I purchased, I do this every Friday. This is the only trade that you don't see me trade live on YouTube. Every other trade you see me trade live, except for the long calls that I buy every Friday. And I spend about $5 or $6 on those. All right, so the hedges are good. Now I want to try to, I own 200 shares. I want to write a covered call. If I can write a covered call at the 39.50 strike, I'll do that. Let's take a look at that first. And I want to do it in the nearest expiration that expires this Friday. So I'm going to be looking at the calls here. I'm going to be looking at Intel. Okay, let's make sure I'm on in Intel. Right here. Not sure why this thing keeps doing that. Let me do that. Okay, so 39.50. See, right now I'm looking at 39.50. Can I sell a covered call there? I want to get at least 37 cents for it. And I cannot. So I'm not going to sell there, but can I do it at the $37 strike? Because I did sell 37. Yes, I can. In fact, I can either go, go one further out of the money to the 37.50 and still get at least 37 cents, but I cannot go to $38. I won't get my 37 cents that I want to get. So what I like to do is go right where I can get it, right? Where I can get 37 cents and then go one back. So I'm going to go to the $37. You could sell the 37.50, sure. That's not a bad idea to do that, but I'm going to sell the 37. I like to go where I can go and then one closer to the money, as long as I'm still out of the money. So I'm going to sell one of these, mid price 60, one covered call, and that filled there. So I collected another $60. ABC, always be collecting. So I collected more premium. I'm always collecting premium with the safe wheel. Every single week I am collecting premium no matter what happens. Okay, so that's the trade for the safe wheel. Let's see if there's any questions or comments. Shovel said he's first, which he actually is first today, and second. So he'll take advantage of being first and second. Avery says hit the like button if you understand what I'm doing here, which is actually sharing my net liquidation, my P&L every week consistently. And I have my accounts. So each system, right, is in each account. So you know how each system doing each week. And I would prefer and like that if other instructors would also do that. So the only way to get them to do that is to really to kind of become more popular and kind of put more pressure on them. And the only way for that to happen is for you to hit the like button. So I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. Hey, Pedro, how you doing? Some guy says the shovel is finally first. Yeah. Will says the EE is a monster this year. Absolutely. It's did really, really well. I was actually talking with the shovel and he mentioned, hey, you should get into this trading. It's international trading competition or something like that. And I looked up, and I think I would have taken second if I would have went into that thing. But anyways, I didn't do it. Will match audio. Great. Thank you, Will. Appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know about the audio. What system strategy would you choose? We had $9,000. Well, what I like to do is take some risk and be pretty risky up until the point I get to around 40,000. Once I get to about $40,000, I'd probably take around 35,000 and then get more conservative and go for like something That's going to give me maybe possibly somewhere between 10, 15, 20, 25%, be more conservative. But under the $40,000 mark, I would get, I like the earnings edge. It's got some risk, but I would, it can move your account up fast. So that way, if you hit the $40,000 mark, you can take 35,000, put it into something like the PL5, real conservative, and then you can still have $5,000 left over to kind of continue to trade the earnings edge. That's what I would do. I'm not saying I'm making any recommendations. The audio is not the best now. Okay, hopefully my audio is working okay. You had real good backtest video this week. I recommend everyone watch it. Thanks, Will. I appreciate that. Yeah, it has to do with the wheel, the traditional wheel. Actually did some research on if you would have done certain things in 2025 and how that would have turned out for you with the traditional wheel. Will says, could you backtest the safe wheel versus the traditional wheel on Intel, since you're trading it live, over the past 3 to 5 years with drawdowns and risk-adjusted returns, maybe compare it to AMD? Yeah, it's an interesting concept. That would be something that you could maybe, Will, you might try to do that. That would be interesting. I have, I don't really need to backtest the safe wheel because it's kind of like I'm trading it live. That's kind of the way that I look at it. But yeah, that's just my thought initially. Will, I'm sure trade wheel, trading the wheel wins sometimes. For sure, you're going to keep winning. But I'd like to see a video about it. Maybe the times it does lose out on the 4 market types. Yeah, so the wheel traditionally is going to win a lot of the times, most of the times, but eventually what you're doing is you're kind of filtering through stocks, right? Because you trade the wheel on a stock and then you get out of it and you trade the wheel on another stock and then you pick another one and you pick another one and you just keep going through stocks. Unless you want to trade the same one, you can do that too. But you're continuing to trade the wheel, trade until all of a sudden one of your positions doesn't give you the ability to collect premium. And now you're down on that particular position. It's kind of like a soldier, like a wounded soldier. And so you got more money to deploy. So you keep deploying it. And then all of a sudden you get another wounded soldier. And you just keep going and you keep filtering through until you have all losers. That's basically how the wheel strategy works. It might take 6 months, might take a year, might take 2 years, maybe even 2.5 years. But eventually, after about a couple of years, you end up with a bunch of losers in your portfolio and your money is just sitting there dead. That's basically how the traditional wheel works. Works great at first, but as you do it for longer periods of time, it ends up not doing so well. Some guy says Intel tanked in the final minutes. That's what happened because, yeah, on Friday, market manipulation. It dropped 50 cents in seconds. So that's why I got assigned, because I was like, oh, this is going to be, I'm not going to get assigned. And then it just dropped at the last second, which is not a big deal to me. Will says, is it Blaze of Glory time? No, because I could still collect. I have the $37 strike that is one of my cost bases on one of my 100 shares. And I was able to sell a covered call on that. Yes, not. Some guy says, with Christmas and New Year's holidays, would the 11-day expiry be a better for the safe wheel? As the out of money premium's higher. Well, maybe, possibly, but I'm just sticking to the rules of the system and just trading it on a weekly basis. NQ asks, is there a reason the earnings edge trade is made at 9 a.m. Pacific time? Wondering if it could be done at the open on a Monday. Absolutely can be done at the open on a Monday, for sure. Yeah. Hope you good. Hope you are very good too, Pedro. Thanks, Pedro. Let's see. Will, you mentioned possibly doing a PL5 Pro training session in January. If someone is on the wait list and has $125,000 minimum, What's the best way to make sure they don't miss the announcement? The best way to not miss the announcement is to just make sure that when I send out emails, that you get those emails. You might want to check your promotion box or check your spam folder. Make sure that, because if you signed up onto my wait list, you are on my email list. And if you're not getting my emails, that's how you're going to miss it. And in fact, I am about 90% sure at this time I'm going to be doing training on the PL5 Pro on January 17th, which is a Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. But I haven't 100% solidified that date, but it's pretty sure I'm going to go with January 17th. And I'll let everyone know about that. This is the first time I've ever announced that. Okay, Pedro. Okay, let's see. Adam, seems like you treat each tranche of 100 Intel shares you own separately. Correct, I do. A combined tranche of 200 shares with an average basis. Okay, so you can see that on here, they give me the combined average of 38.25 is my combined average of the 200 shares, but I don't treat it like that. I do treat it like 100 shares at $39.50 and 100 shares at $37. Now, if I could sell, a covered call at $39.50 strike, I would probably sell 2 of those, right? Because I've got the $37 cost basis. But I look at those totally separate, and I would do the $39.50. I look at that separate. How can I do that? And then I look at the $37 cost basis. I look at that separate, and I look at, can I sell a covered call on that? Yes, I don't look at the average. But if you wanted to look at the average, you could probably do that, but you'd probably get into a blaze of glory trade a lot faster too. Will says, for newbies starting with the free Safe Whale course, what's this one mistake you see people make most often when they try to trade it live? That's an interesting question. Yes, I'd like to know the answer to that too. Pedro's asking, why'd you use the 37 call? Because that's where I got assigned my 100 shares last week. Jason, I appreciate transparency. Trading, how do your other programs compare for someone seeking conservative, high probability trading as a newbie trader on a tight budget? For me, I just look at it in terms of how much capital do you have? If you have under 40,000, I would be, and you want to be conservative, you could do the Safe Whale. Or if you have under 40,000 and you want to get aggressive, you could do the earnings edge. And once you get to 40,000, you might want to leave some still in there for your earnings edge trade, but you want to start getting conservative. And I trade the PL5 Pro with the majority of my liquid net worth. So you can see what I'm doing. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to tell you what you should do, but this is what I do. And so you can see, and I've been trading for over 30 years. Paul says, where can we find the mechanics for the Safe Whale strategy? Well, there's a link in the description where you can actually sign up for the whole course. You can get the total course for free right now. So that would be the place to go, so you can get into the course itself, and it should give you everything you need to know. It will give you everything you need to know in there. Christopher says, so you were assigned 200 shares of Intel. Why did you only sell 1 covered call? I would prefer to sell 2 covered calls, but at the $39.50, where my other cost basis, I wasn't able to get at least 37 cents at that level. So I didn't sell that because it wasn't enough premium. So holding those shares could come out to my advantage, right? Maybe tomorrow we wake up and Intel's at $40 or $43, $42 or something like that. And I wouldn't have capped my upside, because I'm only going to cap my upside if I can get enough premium to do so. I need to get paid to do that. Will, adding a rule to take a shot of Fireball cinnamon whiskey when doing the Blaze of Glory. You don't drink, huh? Fireball's the best. So the shovel finally comes in with Fireball is the best. Thank you. You're welcome, Paul. NQ, does the PL5 Pro need a minimum of 125K? I recommend that. Yes, it can be traded with less, about 35,000 minimum, but I recommend that you have at least 125. If you have 35,000 and you want to trade it, basically the cost to buy the program could be a little prohibitive. So, you get to that kind of a level. Waskinan? What is the best platform to use where the PDT doesn't apply? I think the PDT applies in every platform as far as I know. The shovel says, Was, you need the ES. Right. So you could trade the PL5. You can see I have my system right there where I show you my PL5 variant, where I have $37,000 on the account. So you can see I'm trading the PL5 with $37,000. And you can also see I'm trading with 400 and whatever it was, $1,000 too. Sophie, how much do you need to be paid with a covered call for entering the trade? Well, right now Intel's trading at 36.79. So I like to get at least 36 cents or 37 cents. So based on the price of the stock, that determines how much premium I want to get. I think WhatsApp, how come you skipped my question? Let me see if that, I think your question was this, the PDT, right? I don't see you anywhere else in here, so I think I got you. And of course, how much is the PL5 Pro going to be? Well, you need to check it out, see the value first before I come in with all the prices and everything. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that on January 17th. Thanks, Karl, for describing the earnings edge and the PL5 Pro. I could be interested in both if my Roth IRA could do the PL5 Pro. So your Roth IRA cannot do the PL5 Pro, but it can do the earnings edge. How can I learn more about both? Perks and the price. Hopefully they have Q&As. Of course, I'll have Q&As. I'll be doing a training on that. Like I said, it looks like January 17th. I haven't done a training on the PL5 Pro since last January, so it's been 1 year since, or it could have, no, I think it was April or May. So it's been about 8 months, something like that, since I've done a training on the PL5 Pro. So I've decided to do another one coming up in January. It looks like the 17th. It's a Saturday. Okay, I don't see any other further questions or comments. So in parting, I'd like to say, if the P&L is not real, what else are they trying to conceal? I'll be back next week. I appreciate you guys.